Hello, and welcome to Supernatural, Fact or Fiction. As you know, during your lifetime, you have heard about ghosts or souls traveling through the air, or the unexplainable, or miracles. Well, this show is all about the supernatural. And I have a group of people on the show today who call themselves the Phantom Hounds Paranormal. This is their passion, to take you to this world and explain to you what has happened in the supernatural. Stay tuned. Hi, and welcome to the Supernatural, Fact or Fiction. Now it's time to meet the group, the Phantom Hounds Paranormal Group. Well, I'd like to start off by introducing you to Tina.
Hi everybody, I'm Tina, and I am a newer member to the group. I've been with the group for about a year. I got into paranormal investigating probably when I was pretty young. It all started with, you may remember in elementary school, they had the really scary story books. And then from there, when I got a bit older and a little bit braver, I went to the library and I would take out all the books on the real scary stories. So scary stories about ghosts from the Civil War and things of that nature. And growing up, I never really lost that interest. Just recently, I came to meet these two guys on the end here, and through Brian and Eric, I was invited to join the group along with my mother, who is Brian's wife. And so it became kind of a family thing at that point as well. And my first investigation was at Hillview Manor. Going into it, I thought it would be a really scary experience like the books that I had read. But what I came to find is that it really wasn't very scary, and talking with the ghosts, communicating with them, wasn't too different from communicating with a person in real life.
Really? A person in real life? Did you hear that? Now, are you trying to say that we're crazy? No,
yes.
just teasing you. All right. Now, can we move on to Brian?
Yes, I'm Brian, and I became interested in the paranormal back in 2010. During my life, I never really had any experiences up until that point. It was always something that interested me, but I was more of a skeptic. When I worked there, I had 3 distinct events that happened to me. One, I was working on a Saturday, and I saw a shadow figure. At the time, I didn't recognize it as a shadow figure, but I watched a shadow figure walk from one room to another, and went to investigate the room. There was nobody there. I called my friend Jeff, and he also had witnessed it too. We couldn't really explain it. We tried to figure out what we saw. From there, we had different patients that we worked with that would talk about hearing noises at night, furniture moving, high heels clicking on the floor above them. And I knew that they had remodeled that floor and there was nothing up there. So I took a few patients up just to show them that what they're hearing maybe is a dream. I wasn't really sure what to tell them. We went upstairs and investigated, walked up and down the floors, and showed them that there was nothing there. And on one particular day, and this is before I really knew that spirit energy can influence your feelings. And I had a patient who became sick. We were walking up the hall and he just didn't feel very good. We turned around to come back, and as we had walked up the hall, we probably walked past 40 rooms. All the doors of all the rooms were open. As we turned around, because he wasn't feeling good to come back, all the doors were shut. All 40 doors. And in a hospital, those doors are very heavy. If they all were shut, we would have heard them shut. We couldn't really explain it. I mean, we both knew that they were open, both started feeling not real well, and went ahead and went back downstairs. So I started telling people about what I was experiencing. One of the housekeepers told me that it was the old Mercy Providence Hospital. It was a known haunted location in Pittsburgh, which I didn't know of. And she told me some of her personal experiences, and together we went up to the 6th floor, which is an old operating suite. And when the doors opened, we saw an apparition of a nurse that was standing right in front of us. We both saw it, and it was kind of scary. I wasn't sure if it was a real person or not. What was scary to me is I made eye contact with it. It was standing maybe 10, 15 feet in front of us. We looked at it, and it only lasted a couple seconds, and then it just poof, was gone. And I looked her right in the eye, and I knew it was creepy because it was staring right back at me. And I looked at my friend Shirley, and she said, I saw it too. And we went ahead and checked out the operating suite. We walked around the floor and couldn't debunk it. But we knew what we saw. And that's kind of how I got interested in the paranormal. I wanted to find out if what I saw was just my mind playing tricks on me, if it really were spirits. And from there, I went on to do an investigation at Moundsville where I met these gentlemen.
I find it interesting that your response was not one to shy away or run from the experience, but to investigate the experience more.
Absolutely.
Now, I will save this question for later, but I work in a hospital too, and we have a saying there that says, these are the souls of patients who have left, who are still wandering around the hospital. Do you think that's what occurred there?
I think so. I think that in any kind of situation where you have a hospital, an asylum, that's been open for hundreds of years, there were lots of deaths, lots of different things happened. And we're not really sure why. Like through a lot of the investigations we've done, we've communicated with spirits. And whether you're a spiritual person or a religious person or not, I think most people believe, after you pass, you move on to heaven or whatever's next. And for some reason, these spirits don't move on. They're still trapped. But as far as like where they're at, if it's a different plane of reality, obviously they can see us, we can't see them, but we can hear them, we can communicate with them through some of our equipment. And just trying to figure out, what they really are.
That's interesting. I wonder who's watching me right now and here. Anyway, thanks for your intro. And Mr. Eric.
Hi, I'm Eric. I got interested in the paranormal kind of at a young age. I didn't really know what I was seeing, but in my house that I grew up in, there was always a shadow figure upstairs. I'd stand at the bottom of the stairs and I would look and it would come look at me go into my room. And I didn't want to go into my room, obviously. And then I would see it come out and go down to one of the other rooms, and then I was all right with going upstairs. But all the way up into my teen years, I was uncomfortable upstairs by myself. And then it just kind of went away. I'd go to other places, I'd sense things. I was at a friend's house. I went down to in the bathroom in the basement, and the door shut behind me. And I thought he had come down and shut it. And he said, no, I hadn't. He said maybe it was the fan that I have down there. Well, the fan would have blown it open, and this shut on its own. I didn't touch it, he didn't touch it. I thought he was messing with me, so I switched jobs, had more free time, and just started looking stuff up on my own, talked to some other friends that had always been interested in it, and went to my first investigation. I bought tickets as a wedding gift to a couple of friends from Moundsville, West Virginia, and from there I was hooked.
That's interesting too, that your response was not one of running away from it, but wanting to know more. I find that interesting, because the average person would probably do the opposite. With us growing up with all the horror movies and stuff, most people would have ran. I know, I probably would have ran too. But I'd like to thank you for sharing your intro, and now we have Dave here.
Hi, I'm Dave. Like most of these guys, I've had most of the experiences my entire life, all the way back from when I was a childhood until my teenage years. When I was younger, I would always think I would feel things more than anyone else. Like if it was colder in a room, or if it was if there were sounds that nobody else heard or things of that nature. I was always more drawn to things that most individuals would tell me. Like if I was in the room with my mom, I'd say, hey, did you hear that? She'd be like, no, I didn't hear any of that. So my natural curiosity made me, and start investigating as much as I could. I always wanted to know what was going on. I always wanted to know how things worked, how things were going on. So as I got into my teenage years, and I like most people, you start watching horror movies or reading books or TV shows, and I was like, well, there's got to be more than this, because this is what Hollywood's telling us. And I started investigating on my own and looking into different stories and the stories that your friends tell you, the stories that your books read, and you go look into those. When I got into college, that's when I started actually investigating. I went to a couple of places on my own. I went to a couple places with some friends that were known haunted places, the quote unhaunted. The college I went to, I went to West Virginia University. There's a couple of dorms down there and a couple of halls that have ghost stories that go back, decades. And those are the things that drew me into it. Once I finished college, I went on a couple of my own investigations as well. I've gone to, and I met, through work, I met Eric here, and we started sharing stories and saying, hey, let's let's do this some more, and I just enjoyed it ever since.
That's interesting. I have a question for the group here. Why the name Phantom Hounds Paranormal? Can anyone answer that?
We wanted something that wasn't tied to a location.
Right.
Okay.
And I threw out the whole dog reference because there was 3 of us originally, and Cerberus, the 3-headed hound, from Greek mythology, and I thought,
Yes.
hey, that was something different. So I threw it out there to them and say, hey, why don't we use the hound as an option? Because our original logo was actually just a generic picture of Cerberus.
Interesting. I'm gonna be a little funny here now. That word hounds make me think of men. Men who are on the hunt. And I just think that's kind of funny. But you'd be the only female here. Does that word hounds offend you a little bit?
No.
At all? Okay.
Well, you
I'm
gotta
on
remember,
the hunt too.
she's not the only female in the group either.
Yes.
There's one more.
My mother.
Who's not
Okay.
here.
My sister's actually she had twin babies, so my mother's with her now. She couldn't be here today.
Yeah.
I just had to find out about that name, because I hear hounds, I think, Okay. Anyway, my
We
question
are-
have to do with the. I'm sorry.
We are very dogged.
I bet you are. Okay.
So, I mean,
Well, here's my question to you, and our viewers. We probably are used to seeing The Exorcist and movies like that, and in those movies, all we see is crucifixions or holy water being thrown out. Now, talk to me about your tools. I mean, you don't have to go in depth at it, but are there particular tools that you use?
Well, can I take it?
Go ahead.
Well, first of all, I'd like to make a distinction between that's very, they're taking it from a religious point of view, and they're dealing with demons, which is not what we're dealing with.
Okay.
So the tools of our trade are not protection symbols from demons, because we're not out there trying to hunt down demons or have any kind of communication or interaction with demons. The tools that we use help us to potentially communicate with any entities that may be present in a location. And by entities, I mean the spirits of people who have passed on, not demons.
Okay, so is it? Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, and most of our tools are the majority of them are scientific based.
Yes.
Okay.
There are groups out there that use different, that use mediums or individuals who are attuned to spirits or other things, but the majority of our equipment is all scientific based, and we use the scientific aspect of the investigation.
Okay, so that clears up for us that this is scientific based, that you're not out to hunt demons, witches, warlocks, and all that stuff. Okay, I'll be right back. There you have it, the group that calls themselves the Phantom Hounds Paranormal. I'll be right back. Hi, and welcome back. And now in this segment, I am going to throw out some questions to the investigating group here. Now, my first question is going to have to do with religion or faith. How does that affect your religious beliefs or the faith that you were brought up in? And what I mean is, if you were brought up Catholic, how would the Catholic Church respond to you if you revealed to them what you were doing in this paranormal investigations without the assistance of the priests or a brother or a nun? Anyone wants to answer that?
Yeah, that's a good question. I was raised Catholic, and I'm sure a lot of the priests and the nuns wouldn't have approved of that type of investigation. But like Tina touched on earlier, it's not like we're seeking out demons or angels. My first experience was seeing an apparition. I was Catholic my whole life, but I couldn't wrap my mind around what I saw. I know I saw a nurse. I stared right at it. It looked at me, and then all of a sudden was gone. And then through doing some of the investigations, we could tell we've come in contact with patients, these different spirits. And I'm not really sure, I don't know that any of us or other paranormal groups are really sure where they come from, why they're able to communicate with us. But I know the church wouldn't really approve of it, but I look at it as it's a scientific investigation. We're using equipment. We're not chanting and trying to conjure things up. We're just trying to make sense of different experiences that we've come across.
Sorry to cut you off.
No, it's okay. It's just a hard question to answer. Yeah, I'm still Catholic. I still believe in my faith, but I just want to understand better what I'm experiencing.
Now, the question I have, does this kind of investigation draw you closer to God? Does it expand your understanding of God bigger, or does it diminish your belief in existing of God?
I think for me, it expands it. I don't know that any human being, our minds aren't wired to be able to understand. It's like a newborn baby being born. They hit little developmental milestones because they'd be overwhelmed. They go from being in the womb to all of a sudden, here's the world, and it would be kind of freaky to them it'd be sensory overload. I think our brains are kind of wired the same way. If you talk to Carl Sagan or anyone that's like an astrophysicist, and they look at the universe and how big it is, there has to be more out there, but we just can't wrap our minds around it.
It taps into that natural curiosity that we're instilled with as humans. I mean, think about it. We wouldn't be where we are today if it wasn't for us seeking things out.
Yes.
I mean, starting all the way back with the cavemen seeking out warmth for fire, all the way to nowadays when we're seeking new advancements in technology every day. Without that instilled curiosity that's within us,
Yes.
we wouldn't know anything at this point.
Interesting. Now, I'd like to know if there's anyone in your group who would respond to this question from a non-Catholic background, because I came with a Catholic background, that's why I brought it out. But any of you guys want to respond who would respond from a non-Catholic perspective?
I will.
Okay.
I was raised Christian. I don't consider myself a religious person anymore. And I think I have a pretty unique perspective on what it might be that we're experiencing or capturing with our devices.
Sure.
So I'm going to get a little it might seem left field for some people, but I'll try to keep it kind of basic. One thing everyone knows of Isaac Newton, and he had laws. He had a law of matter, and it said matter can be neither created nor destroyed. Everything, humans, organisms, the floor, anything that we can touch or experience is composed of atoms. And those atoms create matter. Matter can neither be created nor destroyed. So something happens to our bodies, to whatever it is that we call mind or soul, and it goes somewhere else whenever we die. That, I think, is pretty concrete in some ways. And I think that spirits also could be, so particles exist in infinite places simultaneously. So to put that more into perspective, a lot of people know of Schrodinger's cat. The cat is both in the box and not in the box simultaneously. So it could be that our existence could be, if we want to talk about different planes of existence. So maybe when you run into a spirit, it's coming into contact with another dimension where the dimensions are crossing. So that doesn't really involve religion, but it's a way that I kind of have come to understand what it is that we're doing.
Okay, so for your experience, how has this investigation changed that view for you? What I'm trying to say is, you grew up in a Christian church. Has the investigation continued to draw you to look outside of that Christian experience?
I think so, but I don't think that was a necessary part of getting to where I am. For example, I think that asking questions doesn't necessarily take you farther from God. I think when you ask questions, whatever God may be to you, when you ask questions, it helps you to better understand your beliefs.
Okay. I just find that interesting. And I would like to have Eric to respond and share with us where you're coming from.
It does neither.
It does neither.
It does neither. It's completely separate.
Okay, can you elaborate on that a little bit?
Well, while science and religion are not mutually exclusive, the Big Bang Theory was proposed by a Catholic priest. I try to keep it scientific and spiritual in different boxes.
Okay.
Now, this is, the more I investigate, the harder that does become. Her topic about matter, I look at it as energy, something that's either trapped or something that does not want to go. That is an individual thing for that entity, whether they're trapped here or they don't want to leave here. Some say unfinished business, some say they just like it. But for me, the thing that was my most intense experience was at Hillview Manor, my second ever investigation. I was in a room with Dave and the teenage son of the woman that ran the place, and then another friend. We were in what was considered the supervisor's room. And I had found out prior to doing this investigation at Hillview Manor that my own grandmother had been there. She was only there for a few weeks. While we were in there, we started communicating with a spirit. We said, were you a patient here? It said no. Were you an employee? Yes. Were you a nurse? No. Were you a doctor? Yes. And I said, in my head, I thought it, and then I said out loud, did you know Mary Jean Green, my grandmother? And it said yes. And I asked it questions about the conditions that were there. At the time that my grandmother was there, the reason she was only there a few weeks was because she wasn't getting proper care. And I asked if it knew about the things that the patients had gone through, the pain, the suffering, and so forth, because of the poor care that they were given and the poor conditions, and it said yes. So when I left that room, was completely drained.
Okay. Because of the energy from that entity.
Yes.
Now, you used the word energy or something that wants to stay or doesn't want to leave. Now, I'm bringing that up because I had an experience like that with one of my brothers. He was near death. In fact, we have agreed to pull the plug and everything. But the nurse came back to us and said, he won't let go. Now, she said she felt that he was waiting around for something or someone. Is that the same thing that you're what I'm kind of hearing from you, that this energy or his soul didn't want to leave, even though his body was technically gone?
It's a combination. It depends. When something, and this is all throughout paranormal investigative history with the stories and lore, when it's a violent, sudden, unexpected death, that can create an angry spirit, angry entity. Or if it's something that, even if they lived their entire life cycle, 90 years old, 100 years old, they still feel there's more to do. They don't want to leave.
Wow. Wow. That is a really deep thing to reflect on. Now, I like to throw out to the group here one of my experiences that I have in these past few years. An apartment that I live in, it only happens when I'm taking a shower. And it always sounds like someone is running up the stairs or knocking on a door, but I can hear it's like the evidence of a person, a real person in my place, but I'm the only one there. But it only happens when I'm in the shower. Can you kind of tell me what possibly may be going on with that?
Well, I know you elaborated on this with us before, but there's a lot of different things that you have to take into account when you're going over that story. You have to go through, and the best example of what people say is that you have to go through and eliminate every possible variation of what could be causing that. Once you eliminate everything and it's still there, then that usually explains it.
Okay.
Now, in the investigation realm, they call it debunking.
Okay.
Basically means you're going to prove that this was not a paranormal incident. In your case, it could be pipes banging in the wall that sound like footsteps when the water's running through it.
Okay.
It could be an echoing sound because, when you're in a shower, sound is intensified. So it could just be something outside that you only hear it in the shower because the tile is intensifying the sound. It could be you have a rat infestation and something's running across the ceiling in the thing. I mean, there are multiple reasons of what it could and could not be, but the only way to do that is to go into that situation and test different theories and knock out what it could and could not be.
Well, I find it interesting that it only happens when the water is running.
See, in that case, that's what the first thing that goes in my mind is it's got to be something with the pipes.
Okay.
There's got to be air in the pipes. There's got to be a loose fitting in the wall that when you turn the water on, maybe it's tapping just so slightly. And it could just be a bunch of little things that add up into the perfect storm to create this thing that sounds like somebody's in your apartment.
Then again, flowing water is supposed to generate spirit activity too.
Right. That's
So-
another option.
I ain't
You know,
going home now.
if for some reason,
Never shower again.
if it is paranormal, it could be the water that's generating the energy for it to make those sounds. You could try laying a recorder down. You have stairs in your home?
No. I'm on the first floor.
Okay. But it'd be nice to just maybe on a table set a recorder, then go take your shower, and then review it later and see if you still hear what you're hearing in the shower out, like in the quiet apartment.
Okay.
And see if it's an acoustic thing or if it's...
Or even just turn the shower on and you not be in it and go out into the room and see if you still hear it.
Yeah, I don't hear it when I go out in the other room. Even if I turn the shower on and just go in the other room, and then it's only when I'm actually in it. And I'm gonna tell you the truth, it scares me sometimes because my first thought is someone broke in and they're waiting for me. But the funny thing is, they never come and get me. Okay.
Well, you could have someone take a shower in there for you and see if they explain.
See if they hear it too. Have somebody else go in there and take a shower and see if they hear the same thing.
Okay, it's just
a lot of things you can do.
because I was like, my God, what is someone's hair? You know, what am I going to do? You know, so I wanted to share that with you, and I'm quite sure there's probably viewers out there who experienced some of those things just like I did. You know, you hear these noises in your apartment or your house, and you're just freaking out. Like, what is that? There's no one here. You know, maybe I should start keeping a gun in the shower. Okay, no, I'm just joking.
It would get
Actually-
wet. You would have to clean it more. It's just a mess.
That's okay. At least I'll be safe.
There you go.
Going from that story, I think we can also jump off of that and kind of give a clearer picture of what it is we're doing when we're on an investigation.
Okay.
So I think we've all made it pretty clear that we believe in ghosts, or we believe that there's some kind of spiritual activity
something
that's
else.
happening,
Yeah.
something else. But we don't go into a location we don't go in expecting to see a ghost. So if we use your story, for example, something strange is happening, and sometimes we go to these locations and we see something strange, but our instinct is not to say, that's a ghost, and then find all the reasons to support that claim. We very much come from a scientific approach wherein we see something, we call it an anomaly, something that isn't normal, something that is out of the ordinary, and then the first thing we do is not try to support that being a ghost. The first thing we do is, like
Try and
Dave
deny
said,
it. You try to debunk it. You try to
Okay.
figure
Yes.
out anything else it could be
Yeah.
before you fall on the fact that, oh, this is a spirit, this is an entity, this is something else. You look
Yes.
for any other reason it could be first.
So, and it's only at the very end when we've debunked everything, if we're left with nothing else. Even then, I don't know, sometimes I'm hesitant to say it's a ghost, but it's obviously an anomaly. It's something that we weren't able to explain away using our tools and using our intellect. And for the viewers at home who have strange happenings in your house, it's probably not a ghost.
Right.
But it could be, but it's most likely not. And you try to think about it rationally when you go in to investigate it. And if you come up short and you're not able to explain it, then that might be a time that you want to contact a group or an individual who has experience with paranormal investigation so that they can come in and look at it from a different angle and to try to help them at that point.
So with that, they should contact Phantom Hounds Paranormal, correct?
Correct.
Oh, anybody can contact us if they choose to, if they want us to come check something out. That's not a problem. We can try and set something up. We can come to locations, places, and see if we can find something out. But first thing I want to say is, don't think that we're going to come in and we're going to be able to find like you see on television, you get all this evidence when you first go in. There's been investigations where we go in and we find absolutely nothing. We're
Right.
there for 5, 6, 7 hours and there's nothing. It's not as elaborate as you see in these television shows.
Okay. Now, how could the viewer reach out to you? Do you have Facebook, any of these social medias?
Oh, yeah.
We have all the things.
Go ahead. You can let them know.
We have Facebook, so you can find us Phantom Hounds Paranormal on Facebook.
Okay.
And then we have Twitter, which is just Phantom Hounds, @Phantom Hounds. We have Instagram, which is Phantom Hounds Paranormal. And then we also have an email address if someone wanted to email us. It's phpittsburgh@gmail.com.
No, phparanormal.pittsburgh@gmail.com.
There we go.
Okay, can you repeat that again?
phparanormal.pittsburgh@gmail.com. And all that stuff is actually on our Facebook page, so you can just like us on Facebook, and all of that's listed in there.
Yeah, we post videos from our investigations. We post pictures. We are in connection with a lot of other paranormal groups in the community, and a little bit farther out, like the tri-state area.
Right.
And then just individuals who are interested, like our page, and are welcome to comment and get in on the conversation. And it's a conversation that we'd like to have with anyone who's interested.
Okay. Well, I'd like to say that I'd like to thank you guys for being here today. And the Pittsburgh area, now you have an official ghost hunter. No, they don't like the word ghost hunters. So we're going to call them the professional name, paranormal investigators. Is that right? That's what you
That's
are, right?
Right.
That is.
And there is a lot of other groups in the area
Okay.
as well as us, but we are one of them, correct?
Okay, well, I'm going to wrap up today's show, and I'd like to thank you guys for staying in and listening to us. And you can always reach out to them on Facebook. All right? Ciao. Paul, we'll see you later.